You know, to most people, the thought of a messy house is just too much. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a person's house where they apologize for the way that it looks when I come in. However, I always remind them, you're standing in a pile of money. Why apologize? In today's post, I'd like to share with you 10 things that smell like money in your Tucson fixer-upper. Hi, my name's Carl Krenzel. I'm a broker and a realtor as well as investor here in Tucson. And as a real estate investor with over 23 years experience, I've seen all sorts of properties here in the Tucson area. And in today's post, I'm going to share with you the 10 things that smell like money in your Tucson fixer-upper. Now, how does it smell like money? I mean, what do I mean by that? First, let me clue you in on really a secret in the fix and flip game. In the fix and flip game, the money is made on the rehabilitation portion of the resale. Therefore, the worse your property is, the more it's worth to a rehabber. You see, the key to remember, it doesn't mean that your home is worth more. It just means that because of its current condition, you have a home that's very valuable to a particular type of investor. An investor like me here at Carl Buys Houses. So with that being said, let's talk about the 10 things that smell like money in your Tucson fixer-upper. First, pet smells or damage. Believe you me, I love animals. I've had dogs, I've had cats, I've had pets of every single kind, right? Now listen, when you think about it, sometimes having a dog or a cat loose in the house means that there's unintended consequences. Even the most well-trained dog gets sick, and there's accidents on the carpet. Cats, well, they get older, and then they go blind, and mistakes, well, they get made. And as while we as owners try our best to kind of rid the house of scents or damage done by our pets, sometimes our best efforts are thwarted. You know, while a home may be in perfectly good condition repair-wise, an old cat can, with a urinary tract infection, can quickly cause a property to become virtually unsaleable. Now, I recognize that it seems far-fetched, but after selling homes here in Tucson for over 23 years, I can assure you it's true. Outdated plumbing. One of the more curious aspects of property here in Tucson is the prominence of septic tanks. Now, believe it or not, I've bought properties here in town that have had septic tanks right in the middle of town. I mean, that can cost up to $10,000 to connect a home to the sewer. Now, another main thing I look for when I'm looking for a property here in Tucson is polybutylene piping. It's a type of piping that was used primarily between 1978 and 1996. Now, not all homes built during that time period have polybutylene piping, but if you have it in your home, it can be upwards of $5,000 to repipe your home. Ouch. Okay? Polybutylene piping isn't the end of your home problems, but when you have it, you might as well repipe the property along with everything else that's being done. Right? For a rehabber like Carl Buys Houses, it's perfect. Outdated electrical systems. Now, another common thing that I see when buying homes in the Tucson area is an outdated electrical system. While you and I might think that, it's going to be kind of a problem for somebody intending to rehabilitate the property anyway, well, guess what? It's kind of a bonus. Trust me when I tell you, everything you think of that's a detriment for a property and the regular retail buyer is a bonus to a person who intends to rehabilitate the property for a new family and resell it like I do over here at Carl Buys Houses. An older and outdated electrical system simply isn't designed to handle the electrical loads that are required by a more modern heating and cooling system. Now, it's important to upgrade those systems when rehabilitating the house. So if your house hasn't had it done yet, so much the better. Let's talk real briefly about termite damage. Now, there's a saying here in Tucson. Either you have termites, you've had termites, or you will have termites. Either way, it's a problem you're going to face. So needless to say, I've dealt with termites property down here in Tucson, and I've seen their tunnels hanging 3 feet from down, kitchen tables, right? I mean, the good news is it takes years for subterranean termites to do any significant damage. If you catch it in time, they can be treated and removed. Now, next, a functionally obsolete plan. Whoo boy, this is a big one. Literally, this is one of the hardest things for Tucson homeowners to handle. Because unlike a regular fixer-upper, a functionally obsolete floor plan usually requires a lot of work in order to get it back into good working order. Okay, so what would be an example of a functionally obsolete floor plan? Well, a good example is where somebody would remove like a middle wall between two bedrooms to make just one big room, right? Another example is enclosing a carport to make a fourth bedroom and then removing any kind of covered parking that the property might actually have. These examples of functional obsolescence can really damage a property. Next, a leaky roof, right? Leaky roofs are tricky because it isn't always clear where the leak is coming from. Now, there have been properties that I've bought that have had roof leaks that aren't easily repaired, right? And a roof that leaks can quickly lead to other problems. Dampness, moisture, and wicking all lead to problems that can lead to even more expensive issues. Now, when I say expensive issues, the biggest one that comes up is mold, right? Wherever there is water, there's a potential for mold to grow. Now, this is particularly problematic when there is a house that has mold in the house itself. Now, once mold begins to gain a foothold inside the house itself, boy, it's exponentially more expensive to repair and then remediate. The unknown X factor is the effect that mold remediation claim will have on your homeowner's insurance. That can get to be very expensive. Next, hoarding. Boy, I'll tell you, aside from the mental issues associated with hoarding, selling a home that has a hoarder that's occupied it isn't always easy. There's mental health issues as well as health concerns that you have to have about your loved one, right? Getting to and dealing with your loved one who is a hoarder requires a special level of concern, especially when you're dealing with a loved one who's a little bit elderly and maybe some dementia is involved. This is going to require extra care. And when you're trying to get them the help they need, well, you also need a helping hand in dealing with the destruction left behind in their illness. A retail buyer does not have the time or the patience to deal with it. They want to move in right away. A real estate company, they're going to want to have a hard time listing it, and you just can't trust it by some fly-by-night real estate investor that you see on Facebook or advertises some yellow "We Buy Houses" sign. Your problem property is actually not a problem at all for me. I specialize in buying problem properties like yours here in Tucson. So let's finish up the list with the last and potentially the most damaging of the two. Tenant damage. Now, another common call I get here at Carl Buys Houses is when a tenant has damaged a home in Tucson. The homeowner's once beautiful home is now wrecked, and it's a fixer-upper requiring thousands of dollars of repair. Amongst the beaten walls, the broken doors, the oil-stained carpets, and ruined kitchen floors, there's a spark of hope, okay? Homeowners who found themselves in this situation have found relief in the fact that they could make one simple call and get a fair, fast offer on their home. Sometimes, being a tenant, a landlord, you know what? It's just not cracked up what it's cracked up to be, right? It isn't for everybody. And when a tenant tears up your property, you sometimes just can't see the sense in putting in the work only to run the risk of having it get damaged again. I understand. Finally, the coup de grace, the fire-damaged home. Perhaps there's no greater Tucson fixer-upper with any greater potential than a fire-damaged home. Now, while it's true, you might have lost a lot of personal items in the fire. Thankfully, that's it, right? I mean, you made it. Thank goodness, right? Insurance can replace everything else, and you've made it out. And now it's time for you to repair what's missing and get started again on your life. No matter what started it, if it was a garage fire that got out of control and only damaged the garage, or if it was an electrical fire that damaged the entire house, right? I've got experience in dealing with both types of situations, and I can help you in answering any questions that you might have. Not only do you get paid with your insurance settlement, but you can also sell your fire damaged house directly to me exactly the way it is. You don't need to do anything else. The reality is, it's all a question of perspective. While it's true many of these situations aren't always pleasant, they can and do happen to Tucson homeowners every single year. If you need a cash home buyer for your property, or if you or someone you know is concerned about their Tucson fixer-upper, well then share them this post and share them the good news that Carl Buys Houses is looking for them. Fill out the form below or call me or text me 520-403-6227 for a fast fair offer on your unwanted home today. Thanks for listening in, and as always, have a powerful sales day. Bye-bye.